Next up, we have Rob Ashmore from Aon Solar. And let's see here. This presentation.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here to talk to you this evening about solar energy.
Sorry, I'll pull up your presentation. 1 second.
So, a lot of you may have heard about solar energy over the years and heard a variety of things. It's expensive. It's used by hippies out in the country, and that was true in the past, but solar's gone through a dramatic change over the last few years. About 10 years ago, the technology changed in a way that allowed solar to be brought into urban and suburban areas. And basically now, solar energy that's produced by solar panels, as you see in the photo here, this is a system we installed recently in Harlem on a apartment building, an 80-unit apartment building, can now feed into your building's energy system and run electrical devices in your building, and at times when there is more power being generated than your building needs, can actually, the excess power can run through your utility meter and spin your meter backwards and build a credit on your monthly electric bill. So it's not the solar of old. And additionally, solar of old was very expensive. Still expensive, less so now, but the big change now are the incentives. Our governments are very interested in driving the technology and encouraging us to get into more renewable forms of energy. And they're doing that by providing rebates, tax credits, property tax abatements, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Before I get into the meat of that, I would just like to say, what other form of property or improvement can you make to a property that can provide you a 20 to 25% return on your investment? There are some that were mentioned, but solar is one that can do that for you. So if we go to the next slide here. Our company, Aon Solar, is, we operate in New York, New Jersey, predominantly Northern Jersey and New York City. We've been approved by NYSERDA to install solar systems. NYSERDA is the New York governing agency for solar rebates for 4 years, and our company's been around since 2005. I've been in the solar business for 8 years. That may not seem like a long time. In the solar business, it is a long time. I started out in California and migrated this way, largely because the incentives in New Jersey at the time happened to be the best in the country. Who would have thought? New Jersey was one of the hottest solar markets in the country, and this still is. New York was honestly a terrible solar market until now. It is now one of the best solar markets in the country, and it has to do with the incentives that we finally, it's a basket of incentives that we finally brought around to make for that fantastic return on investment. So we have rebates, we have tax credits, we have property tax abatements unique to New York City. We take all of those incentives, and those are going to work towards paying back the cost of the system. Yes, it is expensive, but the incentives are such that we can typically provide you on a commercial project anywhere from a 4 to a 5 year payback. On a residential project, a little bit longer because we don't have depreciation available to residential projects. On those projects, you're typically going to see a 7-8 year payback range. The photo you see here is a green roof solar installation that we did in Park Slope, Brooklyn. If you can go to the next slide, please. Our company is focused on being a full service company. Doing solar projects is not an easy thing. It's unfortunately a very bureaucratic process, dealing with getting the rebates, dealing with the state, dealing with getting permitting in the city, getting all the tax credit paperwork lined up, property tax abatements. So this basket of incentives can be willing to deal with. So you want to be sure that you deal with a contractor that has experience doing this. And so when you work with us, we take you by the hand and basically take care of every step A through Z and get the project installed for you, deal with all the inspections, all the permitting, all the engineering. Part of the process includes providing you a no-cost evaluation and proposal that explains all of the costs, return on investment, and incentives, and helps you make a decision on whether or not this is a good investment for you. The photo here is a building integrated project that we did in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Next slide, please. This is my contact information. As I said, we do provide no-cost evaluations. We do work on commercial properties as well as residential properties, both in New York City and northern New Jersey. And if you are interested, we will typically start the process by looking at satellite images of your property to make sure there's nothing obvious keeping you from doing solar. We'll build on that and little by little be able to tell you whether or not solar is going to be a